Welcome back to Dino Garage, and today we are going to work on the rear suspension. We're going to C-notch the frame. We're going to see if we can get the frame lower to the ground. And I have a package from Massive Speed Systems that is a set of rear control arms, the upper and lowers. And I'll unbox those and we'll put them on. Okay, so I want to run a 20-inch wheel on this car, and I also want it to be as low to the ground as possible. So we're going to take some measurements again to recap. So this is about 26 and a half inches tall, and on my Taurus over here, with the tire size it has, it comes out to about 28 inches.
And that's the same bolt pattern. So.
And this is the same bolt pattern, so we could mock these up on there if we needed to. But we want to run a similar tire size for the rear of the car, maybe something smaller in the front. But in order to do that, we need to, let's see if I can get low enough here. There's about 3 inches off the ground. And so with an extra 2 inches of tire, we'll have to have about 4 inches of drop that we need left. So let's open up this box from Massive and we'll show the components that we got from them. Carl is hooking it up with stickers. Shout out to Carl and his crew at Massive. So these are going to be way smaller than the factory control arms, which is a good thing.
Since we need to go down another 4 inches, these control arms are getting really close to touching the other mount, so the smaller tube diameter will help us get away with that.
But I opted to go with their booted ends, so that way it'll help keep all the grime and stuff out of them. So this is the, it looks like the upper. We'll go here. Anytime you order from Massive, you have to go with the Massive purple. It's the fastest color. So let's get one of the lower arms out. Look at it. Okay, so these ones are gonna replace the lower side. It's kind of hard to see with the tire on there, but they'll go down here.
That'll help our clearance for sure.
Plus they look better,
yeah.
And they're adjustable. So with all that said,
the other color option is black, but Michael's purchased plenty of Massive parts in the past, and the purple just looks amazing.
Yeah, so you probably won't be able to see them on the car, but
is it anodized now?
I think it's powder coat.
You can actually see all the machining marks. It's fucking cool.
Yeah, it's a high quality product. I always try to support Massive, Carl and his team anytime I can. We have the frame leveled out on blocks. It's level front to back. And we are getting ready to get our pinion angle set once we have the air suspension aired out, essentially. So if you raise this rear end up, you can watch it move forward. And so we need to C-notch the frame to get lower, but we don't want to put the C-notch in the wrong spot.
So this is about where our ride height will be. We've got about 3 inches of ground clearance when we've got the axle basically where it's at now. But since our pinion angle is so bad, we're going to put in the Massive control arm so we can adjust that and get that set to where we want it to at ride height, and we can know where our C-notch is actually going to go.
Right. So we know we need to bring the frame down 4 inches to make it touch the ground. So 3 inches of ride height clearance would be perfect. So we're going to use the rear end being in that position all the way up against the subframe here to simulate that.
So we lost the audio on this one, but what we're going to do is get the pinion angle adjusted. And like Michael was saying, is that the upper control arms are as long as they can possibly go, but they are already maxed out and they're longer than the factory control arms are, which helps a lowered vehicle already, being that they're longer and corrects their pinion angle there. The lower ones are as long as they can go as well, but they have plenty of adjustment to go inwards to finish helping getting our pinion angle set where we need to go. So we're using this application on my phone just from Trimic. It's just an angle finder for driveline angles. So we're getting the pinion angle set up here. We're down quite a bit. So as you jack up the rear end, you can see how much it goes. I think it's down to -6. It's a lot. So we're going to get this as close as we possibly can, in the ballpark at least. Get it changed to about 0 degrees. The reason we're doing this is that as it's changing angle, it changes where the rear end runs into the frame by a big area, so we know exactly where to cut out. So what we're going to do is adjust the lower arms. We're going to make them a little bit shorter so we can bring the pinion angle up. And what we end up figuring out here on these massive control arms is 1 full revolution is 1 degree is what it ends up working out to. So we'll put 2 turns into it. Ends up getting us 2 extra degrees here. And run it in 2 more and get us about to 0. At least gets us close to where we want to be, and we can start making our cuts and planning out where we want to notch the frame at.
Now that we have our pinion angle set at 0, we have two spots that are conflicting that we need to trim in order for the rear end to get higher or the frame to get lower. So we have this here. Now that we have our rear end where we need it, since it was moving up and forward last time, now we know where we need to mark to C-notch the frame. And then up here with a pumpkin, we need to trim this out for it to come up higher and allow the frame to be lower to the ground. We need to make a supply run, so we're gonna take my old car. So this is a
Well, ignore everything we just said. Pinion angle, we didn't leave it at 0. Changed it to, I guess that'd be a -2 degrees pointing down. So then when we have the transmission engine mocked up, we can go +2 degrees, which should give us a good driveline angle. We're not going to just notch this section after looking after it. Everything in the entire middle section is going to be completely in the way. So since this whole thing has to be cut out in that section anyways, we're not going to have any rigidity. Get to looking around, the only other thing that this does is the body mount, which we won't, there's no way impossible that's going to stay right where it's going to be at. We've got a coil spring mount, which is going to get changed out to an airbag, and a sway bar, which is going to be easy enough to change or move where we need to anyways. So we're going to just cut this entire center section out all the way across the frame, which will allow us to get as fancy as we want to with the brace for there.
The rear section cut out and everything braced up, and now we have everything marked out to where the axle will be when we lower this as low as we want it. And we're gonna look at some mounting brackets and different options for the bags, and have to order some things before we can proceed, but that'll do it for this video.